closed for a moment. And we'll relax, and we'll probably just get to a point where we're starting to relax and the doorbell will go. So just surrender to everything. Just relax your eyes down and just start to relax your cheeks and your lips, your forehead. Becoming aware of your facial muscles, becoming aware of any tension that you're holding in your face. See if you can completely let go of all the muscular structure in your face. Just let your skin hang. And then do the same with your shoulders, your neck. Just notice any tension that you're putting into it and then just let it go. Relaxing your arms so there's no effort, they're just resting on your legs or however you're holding them, just let them hang. Relaxing your chest, your belly, your spinal muscles, your back muscles. Just relax your legs, your ankles and your feet. Just relax your seat. And if you're not familiar with the art of letting go of things, just imagine that you're clenching a tennis ball as tight as you can in your hand, but your hand is actually your whole body, and you're just going to let it go. And just soften as much as you can, just release. Not trying to do anything or achieve anything, but just trying to stop and be here, become present. And once you've let go of your physical body in the best manifestation that you can, just check in with your emotions to see how you're feeling today. Maybe you're busy, maybe you're happy, maybe you're nervous, maybe you're already peaceful. To check in is just to ask yourself how you're feeling and then try as accurately as possible to give that feeling a label. But don't judge the label, good or bad, none of that, just what it is. And then once you've recognised your emotional structure today, just like the tennis ball, let it go. And then just move into the nature of your mind. Body, emotions and mind. Notice if your mind's trying too hard in this moment to already control the practice. It requires no mind to listen to these simple instructions, it requires just gentle surrender. So just let your mind soften like letting go of the tennis ball. Just relax your mind. And just start to tune into the present moment. You can do this by listening to the sound of my voice, the sound of the birds, the sound of the cars, the touch of the wind on the skin. And we'll just share these next few moments in physical silence, but if your mind chatters, that's okay. We'll be here for no longer than 1 minute, so don't panic. take a deep breath in through the nose. Big exhale through the mouth. Let the day go. 2 more. Big breath in. And exhale. Last one. Big breath in. And let the day go. You can open your eyes. Welcome. It's a good time, though. See? If I hadn't said that, she would have definitely rung the doorbell when we was in the choir. So I have to thank fate. How was that for everyone? Anyone not peaceful? Be honest. Hey, welcome. We're blocked there for you. Okay, so we're going to have a go at the prerequisites for liberation. Anyone? Okay, liberation. Anyone want to try and hazard a guess as to what liberation is? Without, like, just a short sentence of what you think. Freedom, that's nice. That's bad for one, really, but we can use some other ones because you give the answer quickly. Any other ideas of what liberation could mean?
Letting go.
Letting go, yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
Escaping what you believe binds you.
Escaping what you believe binds you, yeah, good. Good. What binds us? What's
The
binding?
past.
The past, yeah. The
No
past binds us.
expectations.
No expectations is liberation, yeah. No expectations. Expectations are little suckers, really. They fuck most of us off, excuse my language, but they're little cheeky buggers. They can wind up, really. How many times do our expectations let us down? We need to let them things go. You know, life is beautiful enough without me wanting it to be different. So expectations, yes, good. No expectations. Yeah, so liberation. So any idea of what things can help us attain liberation, or what do we have to do to be ripe for liberation? Let go. Okay,
Content.
So be content. Yeah.
Stay calm.
Stay calm.
Meditate.
Okay. And how many of you would like to be liberated? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're already.
Still like to be there. Yeah. So what we have to ask ourselves is if these are the things that we could do to help us liberate ourselves, you know, because yeah, on one degree there's a piece of us, unchanging eternal consciousness, the nature of our soul doesn't change, it's already liberated. But the truth is most of us, most of the time, are not associated in that path, and it's getting worse and worse in this group because most of us are starting to become associated with that part of us. So one day I won't have anything to teach, we'll just sit in silence together, you know. But for now, there's times where we go from feeling peaceful or content, and then we feel upset in the day, we feel miserable, we feel dissatisfied, depressed, anxious, worried, we don't like ourselves, we want different circumstances. This is a constant fluctuation of our mind state. Yeah, behind our mind state there's peace. So to do these things, one of the things that we can achieve, or one way to make this easier, is good company. This room, and being around people that actually care about liberation. You know, it'd be a great change in the world to have lots of people that care about becoming the most peaceful version of themselves, you know. And what tends to happen is when you come to Sangha or Satsang, a group of people in truth, it doesn't take us long to snap out of our normal mainframe and become peaceful. So association is really important. There's 4 things that are majorly important, and I haven't wrote them down. I'm not sure that I'm going to remember them. We're going to just let the universe traverse through me and see what happens. So Sangha, good company. Okay, association is really, really important. If you want true liberation, you need to meet someone that's liberated, you know, because otherwise you can't recognize your own liberation because you're not sure what it looks like. You start hanging around with people that are peaceful and that have moksha, or a state of mind where they're silent, then you start to recognize your own silence in them, and it's a beautiful reflection. Okay, it's wonderful. We get that here. We get that with each other, so it's really special. Silence. So one of the things that my teacher would say is don't be shy on testing your teachers. Okay, don't be shy on finding the right one, and that might not be me. Okay, I'm just here in Ely in my house doing a bit, but it might not be me. So you can test me all you want, and we can see if we can knock me off course. I'm good for that. That will just put fuel on the flame of enlightenment, which is great. So to test, because that's what we do to make sure we're in the right place. If you're buying jewellery and it's gold, you'd like to know that it's really gold before you have it, right? You want to make sure that the thing that you're getting is the truth. So if you go to a yoga practice and you're expecting liberation and the teacher's not attained any form of liberation yet, then it's really hard for that person to sell you what it is that they're trying to provide. We have to be mutually beneficial here. We have to understand that there is something here that I'm wanting from this person, or this person provides something for me that is deeper than what I'm able to provide for myself. Okay, so I can take you so far, and then you might have to go to India or something. So that's fine. Sangha is really important. The second thing, what else could there be that either stops us or helps us get to liberation? There's no wrong answers until I say so. Life. Yeah, life's a good teacher.
Our mind.
Our mind can stop us. So, what does our mind make that stops us from being liberated? We deal with it all the time. It plays a drum and bass tune in mine. Our mind makes desires. Okay, desires is the second thing that stops us from being liberated. Okay, desires, or you could call them expectations, but desires, we're talking in the realm of karmical invocations in our body and our mind. It's like we become infatuated with things in the material plane of existence, as though the object is going to finally give us happiness, whether it be a car, a child, money, or any of the plethora of things that in the material structure. We can fixate our mind on an object quite easily, actually. I'm sure you're all familiar with that feeling of wanting something, whether it's a partner or these things. And these desires that are the promise of happiness and peace and contentment in the future moment stop us from experiencing peace and liberation in this moment. So the second prerequisite to really attaining a liberated state constantly, because we already are it, is having desires that are not that of freedom. If you can have any desire in this world, it would be to be free. Okay? I'm not telling you that that's what you've got to have. I'm telling you that if you investigate your own desires to the extremity, if you think about the partner in the future when you finally meet him or her, and you fall in love, and then you're together, and then I'll finally be happy, that happiness that would exist then exists now. And the reason you're not feeling that now is because the desire is making you feel like you want something to complete yourself. Whereas if we let go of the desire, then we can find that we're already peaceful and happy now. So desires, okay? So the desire. So the second one is to have no desires, or only the desire of liberation. Only the desire of freedom. Okay. Any questions? Are we happy so far? Is any desires going on in the room right now? Anyone desiring to leave before we leave? Third one is creating a relationship to knowing the true identity of ourselves. This is a tough one. This is a really tough one. This is tough because we're so rooted in the belief of being our body. And I think that sentence says it all. The belief in being our body. If we didn't have any beliefs in this moment, if we was to just all close our eyes, if we forget everything from the past, forget who we are, forget our name, forget our family, forget everything just for one moment, one sincere moment of forgetting all the past, all the moments, everything, and we let everything go, we just forget, like, what's left? open your eyes. Okay, what do you think's left? What's there when you're forgetting everything?
Shell.
A shell.
I look at that. I think there's nothing left. I think that when you freed yourself from, excuse me, sorry.
No, that wasn't. It was
No,
Jerry.
but
But
it
it
was
was
me.
same thing.
I think that when you let your body go, and I think you also have to let your mind go, then you're left with nothing, and that's really nice.
It's lovely. It's lovely. It's scary. It's scary for a start. It's scary to let go of our identity. You know, we've spent a long time building this. You know, and often there's a fear that if we let this go, then all of the work that we've done in our life to achieve happiness or freedom is going to be undone. And that can be quite terrifying, because for a start we might do it in the material world, and then we might start a yoga practice, and then we might start studying scriptures, and we might start coming into satsang and hanging around with me or different teachers, and we get to a point where we feel like we have to let that all go, and we think, well, if I let all of that go, that stuff that I've been doing, I remember the version of me before I started all of that, and it wasn't very nice, you know, and there's a huge fear that arises with letting everything go.
Who will I be?
Who will I be if I let it all go? So that's quite scary. So that's a really difficult one, to disassociate with our body and to recognize the non-changing piece of ourselves, the non-changing piece of consciousness that is ever present. And it's been with you, and it's so close in your field that you often misidentify it, and you go one step further and identify with your mind, you know. It's one of the ways of seeing this, and I've said this before, but just to reiterate so we're all on the same page, is before you was given a name, when you was a baby, you didn't have that name. Then you was given that name, and everyone called you that name, and that name became a firm substratum of your mind, and you held on to that name as I am my name. And then you were told that you was a girl or a boy, so then I am Cain and I am a boy. And then perhaps down the line you learn what foods you like, and what music you like, and what animals you like, and what cars you like, and what music you like, and the list just goes on and on and on, and we collect these things over the course of a lifetime, and they become an infrastructure so big within us that that is engulfing our identity. But if you investigate that from even what I just said, you'll recognise that none of that stuff even exists. That's just an idea. So when you let the idea go, what's left? What's left is the consciousness. It's the consciousness that you looked at yourself, and you've always looked through your eyes with. It's the one that you look in the mirror at and you see back and you see through the body. It's the one that when you're sitting there watching telly and your brain finally turns off and you turn into a vegetable, it's the thing watching the telly, you know. It's also the thing that when you go and see a beautiful piece of music being performed and it absolutely blows your mind, that you surrender and your mind dissolves. It's the one when you're finally satisfied in each day. And we have moments of this. You wouldn't be here today if you hadn't experienced this to some degree, because you'd want to repel the ideas that I'm even talking about. But we have this taste of freshness every day. Every day. You know, someone makes you laugh, your mind goes for a moment. And then all of a sudden the laughing stops, and what do? You think about all your problems again, and then the weight comes back of the identity. It's torturous, it's exhausting. So my invitation is to stop. My invitation is to stop your association with all the things that are creating pain and suffering in your life, and become really, really recognised in the piece of you that hasn't changed since the moment you've been brought into manifestation. Okay, so that's the third thing. Third thing is association with your true, authentic self. When you hit that one, that one's good. That one's like the fear of death going, the fear of your life not looking how it wants to, the fear of any problems, because then, from that place, if you're associated with eternal consciousness, then the ever-changing mind doesn't offend you anymore. Then the bad things that happen in your day, they don't offend you like they used to. They only offend you when the story of I comes into it. Why me? Why I? Why is this happening to me? So changing your relationship from your thinking mind to the space that is observing the thinking mind. And that essentially is what our meditation practice is. So we have so many ideas about meditation. We think, like, finally I'll empty my mind, but the mind is already, the self is already empty. The mind just exists within the self. So when you sit down to meditate for a start, which we'll do in a moment, you'll sit down, and perhaps your experience of meditation up to this point is to sit down, and because you're identified with the mind, that you believe everything that the mind is saying, that it feels like you're being washed around and you're just being pushed from left to right, and it's really, really an uncomfortable ordeal. But if you change your relationship and say, I'm going to watch my mind, and there's an I that is going to watch the mind, and you recede your seat of awareness back into the field of consciousness, and then you just notice that in my awareness in this moment there is people, there is sounds, and my mind or my thoughts are existing within that, then you can take a different reference point. And it's in that different reference point, or the space of consciousness, that you recognize everything. And slowly over time, when you're doing your meditation practice of coming into the mind and then receding back into consciousness and coming into the mind, you'll establish, I'm not my mind. And when you establish that you're not your mind, then the mind no longer disturbs you. It's good, isn't it? It's nice. I wish my mind didn't disturb me. It still does, daily. So, yeah. Okay, so there's one more thing to have as the key to liberation.
Is it becoming one with everything?
No, but it's a good point. When you do it, essentially you become one with everything.
Well, this is what I'm thinking. If you become one with everything, then freedom ceases to become an issue, because you are everywhere and everything.
Acceptance?
Acceptance, yeah, that's a good one. Acceptance is going to aid you phenomenally on this path. It's going to really, really boost you to accept everything as it is. And to go further with acceptance, we'll come back to the last one in a second, to go a little bit further with acceptance, acceptance is the birth of gratitude. And gratitude means that you're, rather than forsaking the moment or disregarding the moment, when you're thankful, you start to enjoy the moment, even if the moment isn't as desired. So acceptance is a really, really rich nectar of truth. Okay, it's something that when you start to really accept how the day is, or surrender or let go, which are all the same things, in that you're going to learn that you're thankful for the way it is. You're thankful. Like, there's times and things that have happened in your life that are some of the most painful things already to be experienced, but there's no doubt about them that they make your experience richer. They make the depth of yourself richer, and that doesn't always feel that way, but it is the truth. And if you can have acceptance for everything that happens, then nothing's going to be a problem. So that's a good one.
Acceptance is the flip side of expectations.
Yeah. Gratitude, gratitude. You must have heard of the term gratitude for meditation, attitudes of gratitude. So these are things. The last one is actually silence. It is, contrary to popular belief, it is actually easier to be in silence than it is to think. The effort required to have a thought is active. Silence is inactive. Silence is effortless. Silence is acceptance. Silence is surrender. When you're sat here in this moment and you're completely okay with everything in your life, there's no problems to solve, and you're just completely here and now, then there's silence. And that silence is effortless. And often in our mindset, we are so trained or conditioned to believe that if we do something, we get a result. And that is inscribed to us at such a young age from our parents, going, if you do that, then you're a good boy. If you do that, you're a good girl. And then you go and do it, right? You go and do the task, and then mummy loves me, And then you do something else, and mummy loves me. And the love is conditional at that age, so that you learn throughout your life that if I do good things or if I do good actions, then I'll be loved. And that is counterproductive. I want that thing to become unstuck. I want you to recognize that you are love and that you don't need to do anything more than just be here to be love. Okay? And it's a tricky, tricky maze. So, who in this room loves himself? Everyone? No one?
Yeah.
That's good.
I think I'm learning to.
Learn to. Yeah. Stop learning
I don't
to.
necessarily love my mind or my body, but the essence of them is.
Yeah. The essence of you is love. Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. You will. You will love your mind. You'll love it all. It will come. Yeah. I think often we want to disregard our mind, you know. We want it to be different. So the way that we are trained to make something different is, especially, okay, the way that we treat ourselves to be different is quite harsh. Because if there was a young kid in front of us right now and it was acting like our mind was, we probably wouldn't be so hard on it. We'd probably show the kid love, wouldn't we? Well, we would. There is different circumstances where we might not. But we often don't give ourselves the same respect that we would give other people. So, for example, if your friend come to you with anxiety, depression and worry, how would you treat your friend? With love. You'd say, it's okay, you're alright, I love you, it's all good. And then you sit at home on your own and you've got anxiety, depression and worry, and how do you treat yourself? You're like, oh, I fucking hate feeling like this, I don't want to be like this, I'll just drink another drink, or, you know, we do things to escape it rather than doing the thing that we would treat someone else. And Michael Singer was famous in his book The Untethered Soul for saying, firstly, you need to recognise that there's a voice inside of your head, and secondly, you want to recognise the relationship that you have with it. Because if you have a relationship with your mind where you don't like it, or where you want it to be different, and you don't like your body and you want it to be different, you're creating a disharmonious environment. And if your true reason for life is to find freedom and love, then it means that you must be doing freedom and love in every action. So when your mind's there being negative, the thing that it needs is love. When your body's there and it's feeling negative, the thing that it needs is love. Otherwise, you're contributing towards the other, you know.
But if you can accept that your expectation of freedom is not going to be met, then surely you've just unlocked freedom.
How's that going for you?
No, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I like that actually.
Yeah.
I'm happy with
That's
that.
good. It's good because you have to remember that when you aim for one thing and one thing only, the one becomes nothing.
Yeah.
So the importance of aiming, okay, you're aiming for the opposite, to not have the desire for freedom. Is that what you're saying?
No,
To let the desire of freedom go, should I
Exactly.
say? Okay, yeah, to let that go. That's good. That's fine. And that is ultimately what's going to happen in the end when you're aiming for it. To be free is to have no two things in the mind, no two desires. And what it would say is when we develop one pointed nature in yoga, union, one pointed, to aim at one thing will eventually lead to nothing, because when there's just one, the sum total is zero. You know, there has to be two things to be dual. So when you're aiming at just one thing, one pointedness, the one thing ultimately will become the nothing. These are just things, they're just prescriptions, okay? We're talking about them. I will flip it on the head eventually, and I will tell you all that you're already liberated, that you all just need to stop and just be here now, and that's going to be my invitation to you. But I'm just saying that there's probably a chance that some of you will leave here and you will fall back into your identification, and if you want to feel better about yourself, you can go, can I be more silent in this moment? Can I choose freedom? What is stopping my freedom? Are there desires in my way? Are there things that I'm telling myself that if I have, I'd be happier? And are they actually creating unhappiness in this moment? And finally, can I go and hang around with people that are going to make me feel better? That's not a bad prescription, okay? So they're just things that I would suggest, and I'm sure that the reason you're all here is for some of that prescription, even if we have ultimately attained the deepest nature of ourselves. My invitation is now going to revert. That is the Shastra part of the class. That is the scripture. That is the teaching. Let's do some meditation. So let's choose a comfortable seat. And what it means to be kind to yourself is if you find that halfway through your meditation you're uncomfortable, then change your seat. If you're truly uncomfortable. If your mind is uncomfortable and it's saying you need to itch your nose, ignore it. Be nice to it, just say, it's okay, you know. Okay, so pick your seat. Okay. We'll do 5 minutes of guided meditation, then we'll come out and we'll come back in and do some pranayama and see how manipulating our prana can affect the state of our mind. Okay? Okay. Just go back into letting go. Go back into relaxing your body. Go back into relaxing your mind. And then I just want you to notice the first place where you can feel the breath enter the body. Maybe that's your nose or nostril tips. Maybe that's your mouth. Maybe it's your throat. Or maybe it's the expansion of your chest and your diaphragm. I don't want you to change your breath. I don't want you to change anything. I just want you to notice the body is breathing in time and space. And I want you to relinquish any effort of the breath. I want you to experience the breath as if you're falling in love with it. As if each breath that comes in is nourishing every cell of this beautiful manifestation of energy, this beautiful Shakti. And just have the feeling or the mindset that it feels nice. Just a feeling. And then just invite yourself to stop. Stop trying to change your mind, stop trying to change your seat, stop trying to change this moment, and just genuinely, sincerely, with love, just be here. Just relax. It's okay. If at any point you feel that you're starting to build tension in your body, just let it go. Relax deeper. Relax everything. Not trying to go anywhere or do anything, just being here in total surrender. Everything's okay, everything's beautiful. And if your mind becomes busy, just stop. Relax, let it go. Trust this moment. Go as deep as you can into this moment by relaxing. Not by trying, not by forcing, not by effort, just by stopping. Become unstuck. Release the hinge of your mind and open it into the expansive space by relaxation. space, in this wonderful space, I'm going to ask an inquiry. This is called jnana yoga, and this is self-inquiry, and it requires no answer. The mind might come in at this point when I ask the question, the mind might come in at this point. But the mind cannot answer this question. It requires no answer. So before you try and rationalize an answer in your mind, let me finish the koan, let me finish the inquiry, and wait, because the answer can reveal itself by not answering. So what we're going to do is we're each going to ask the question in our mind. You can cough, you can let it out, just let it out. If it needs to come again, just cough, it's no bother. Okay, we're each going to ask the question in our mind, who am I? But the art of asking this question is to be quiet, watch the space in which the question arrives out of, and then don't answer the question, and watch the who, the am, and the I go back into the space and follow it back into the space. And the space that it dissolves into is the nature of yourself. I hope that was clear enough. We're going to give that a go. We're going to all in our own minds in just a moment let the question arrive, who am I? And then we're going to watch it dissolve, and we're going to try, just for even a microcosmic moment, rest as the space in which it returns. Relax your mind, allow the question to arrive, allow it to dissolve, and rest is the answer. Okay, take a deep breath in through your nose. Let the practice go. Beautiful. Okay. Reflections. Anyone find that a bit of a paradox, or anyone struggle with that? Okay, you've all qualified. You can
I had some space and some resting in the open space, but then you quickly get washed away into other thoughts, and but so it's nice to be for a moment with the self.
Yeah, this is the first thing is there's a feeling that we drift back into our thoughts, which is quite right, because the problem is at the moment is when the thoughts come back, we identify with them, so we feel like the spaciousness is lost because the identity has changed from spaciousness to thoughts. So it feels like there's even just a microcosmic moment of peace, and then it feels like I'm thinking again, I'm lost. But the truth of that is the peace is there the whole time. The thoughts are existing in the peace. So there's a different relationship to be created from that, and that establishment in your being of who you are will resolve in that. So do we know what a koan is? Okay, so koans are kind of paradoxical phrases that the mind can't answer. Has anyone heard the saying, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around, does it make a sound?
Yeah.
Yeah? And how does the mind answer that? It tries, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It tries to say, yeah, there's a sound, and there's a sound, but there's no real answer. There's nothing there to really land on, okay? And the koans in Zen are things that when you ask them and when you meditate on them, they jar you. They hit a point where you hit a paradox in your mind and it can't be answered. And the Zen teachers will sit down and they'll start their meditation practice and they'll say, hello, Mr. Das. So when tree fall in the woods, does it make sound if nobody's around? Yeah, they say things like this. And most of us will come in and we'll say, well, yeah, of course it does. And we'll try and answer it and try and rationalize an answer. And we'll go through our minds and we'll evaluate it. And I'll say, okay, go back to your seat. And you can sit down again and you meditate some more. And then you come back the next day after 8 hours of meditation. Same question. This goes on for a while and you keep trying to find the answer, and then one day you recognize the answer is in not having an answer, in the silence. There's no rational thing to be found, there's no answer, so you eventually surrender, and the surrender is the answer. It used to really annoy me because I used to read them in a book and I used to sit there and I used to try and work them out. I was like, there's something in this, you know. Why, if I'm doing this for 10 years, can I not understand the bloody answers to this book? You know, really. So, little things that are paradoxical, like a beautiful one is, what is the sound of silence? And then listen and just stop. Another one that I've used in class before to inquire into meditation is, what is here and now? What is here and now when there's no problems left to solve? Apart from that guy. You know, these are just things to help you. You know, these are things to ultimately make you recognise the nature of yourself. Any questions? No one wants to say.
Feel quite peaceful.
So we can do pranayama, we can do intense pranayama, we can do mantra, and we can do more meditation with no effort, or we can share. Your choice.
Pranayama.
Pranayama, that's one for pranayama.
Yeah.
Go once and anyone else? Not intense pranayama, just pranayama. Okay, so pranayama. Okay, pranayama. Okay. Prana is the life force. Okay, this is good. I'll close the book. Bugger. Okay, prana is the life force that is running around our body. Okay, chi, prana. This is what is running around our body. Yama is the restraint or the control of the prana. Okay, and your mind needs energy to think. Okay, they're called kashanas. Okay, every explosion of energy fires neurons in your mind scientifically. The explosion of energy comes from eating, it comes from experience, it comes from sangha, it comes from many different things. Okay, and these get exploded in our mind. Okay, this is a tool that I will teach. I'll try and find this for the end of the class. So this is a tool that we can teach to manipulate our prana. Okay. So when we do pranayama exercises, we take the prana in our body and we control, restrain or pause it. And what that has is it has a subtle effect firstly on the prana that's moving around our body. And when our body relaxes and our nervous system relaxes and the prana starts to balance, then our mind relaxes. And because the prana is not isolated in one region or a portion of our body or mind, and because it's now omnipresent and balanced, our mind subsides. and our mind calms down. So when we calm our breath, we calm our mind. Yeah, that makes sense, right? So if I said to you, what is your breath doing when you're having an anxiety attack? What's it doing?
Sure.
That's what your breath's doing, right? When you're peaceful, your breath's long. If you're a chilled, hippie surfer dude, your breath's super long. Yeah, man, awesome, this sort of stuff. So we can manipulate this. Often, even for us that have been practicing this a long time, our breath is insufficient quality for what we need to maintain good equanimity of mind. You know, how's your breath right now? Just taking good full breaths.
It's just shallow.
Shallow little breaths. Okay, so one thing that we can really tap into to change our experience of life is our breath. Okay? But if I tell you this and you take this away and then every moment you say, I'm just going to control my breath, you've lost the idea. Because necessarily we don't need to change the experience, everything's okay, but it's still nice to have a little toolkit for when things get a bit tough. Okay? So we'll do Paliloma and we'll do Nadi Shodhana tonight. We happy with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay. So the first one is going to take Chin Mudra on our left hand. So Chin Mudra is our first finger curling down and we hook it with our thumb over the navel. This is the representation of the ego bowing down to the cosmos, and these are the three gunas of nature. We won't go into them today. But this is just a sign to say that I'm taking my ego and I'm bowing it down to the cosmos. And the cosmos is Brahman, it's our consciousness. So we're going to finally let our ego bow and relax, and we're going to take over with universal power. Okay, really it does. We're going to take Vishnu Mudra on our left hand, okay? Vishnu Mudra is the first two fingers on our right hand, we curl them down and we connect them to our palm. We want a little gap there. We want to try and make a gap. And we're going to then just gently bend our thumb and our ring finger like this, and we're going to use this to alternate nostril breathe, okay? So the right thumb is gently going to close the right nostril. The left ring finger is gently going to close the left nostril, and there's just this gentle alternation that happens. This is the most intimate part of the practice. Okay, do not be forceful with this hand, do not be brutal, be really gentle, really loving, microcosmic movements, just this gentle alternation about this much, no more, okay, less if you're practiced, okay. And then what I will do is I will give you the instruction to breathe in through both nostrils, close the right, exhale left, or inhale left, close both nostrils, exhale right. If you've not done it before and it's your first time, follow along as best you can. If at any point you need to relax the hand down and breathe, do that. And then I'm going to slowly build the layers. We're going to go into the Biju mantras, and then we're going to go into visualization of moon and sun. The moon visualization is in your Ajni chakra, in your crown here. So if we're visualizing the moon, we take our eyes and gaze up between the eyebrows, but in the center of our head, we gently roll the eyes back. And if we're visualizing sun, we do this in the solar plexus, so that the rhythm of the breath is rotating through our body like this, okay? Because there is a body and we do have a lot of control over it, okay? Anyway, just rest both the thumb and the ring finger at the side of the nostrils without closing either of them. And Lewis, if you can't do kumbhakas or retentions, just carry on in between. If you want to do them, they're going to be really short today, so it's up to you.
Cheers.
Okay, take a long silent inhale through both the nostrils really gently. And slowly exhale through both nostrils as slow as you can, quietly. Inhale through both nostrils. Gently close the right nostril with the thumb and exhale through the left. 2, 3, 4. Inhale through the left. 2, 3, 4. Gently retain. Close the nostrils. Exhale right. 2, 3, 4. Inhale right. 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale left. 2, 3, 4. Inhale left. Vam, 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 vam. Retain. Exhale right. Van, 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 van. Inhale right, ram, 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 ram. Retain. Gently exhale left, ram, ram, ram. Inhale left, van, 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 van. Retain. Visualize moon, Kachari Mudra. Exhale right, van, 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 van. Inhale right, ram, 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 ram. Retain. Visualize sun. Exhale left, ram, 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 ram. Inhale left, vam, 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 vam. Retain. Exhale right, vam, 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 vam. Inhale right, ram, 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 ram. Retain. Exhale left. Inhale left and hold. Exhale right. Inhale right and retain. Drop the hand down, hold the breath, relax the hands on the lap and exhale quietly through both nostrils into Paliluma. We'll inhale for 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4 and hold. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4 and hold. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4 and hold. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4 and hold. And exhale. Okay, now we're just going to continue, no holds. Breathing in as slow as you can through the nose. And breathing out as slow as you can. Find a rhythm that works for you. Find a breath that hasn't got volume. Find gentle, loving breath. And just find a rhythm that is flowing. Just breathing in and breathing out. Stop trying and just let your body breathe. And then stop any effort with the breath and stop any effort with anything. And for the next few minutes, just a couple before we come out and we can stretch, we're just going to relax. We're just going to not touch anything. Imagine that you're sat in the most glorious building and that if you move you're going to knock a tiny little beautiful object over, and just be still. And then imagine that you're just waiting to hear the most important piece of information you've ever heard in the cosmos be whispered so quietly that if you're even thinking, you'll miss it. And then just relax and wait. Nothing to do. Just patiently sitting and observing. And if for any reason you feel like your energy is in doing or trying, I'd like you to stop trying and to become curious. To investigate the silence with curiosity, the curiosity of a tiny little puppy that has never been here before, that wants to go and sniff and check everything out. Develop that curiosity to just be with yourself and be curious of what will happen if you just sit in there. What will happen if you just for this moment stop, finally, truthfully stop. Just recognise that it's nice. Recognise that it's nice just to have a moment of peace without having to do anything to get it. Recognise that it's really nice just to have harmony, compassion and love in this moment without having to do anything to get it. It's refreshing. It's nice. Okay, deep breath in through the nose. And just let it go. Have a little stretch, do your legs out, have a move around, break the awkwardness of your body if you need to. Okay, so that's the truth. The truth is that we don't have to do anything to be deserving of peace or for peace to arrive spontaneously. That's one of the best things you can find out in your life, that it's not a result of an action, it is the precursor, it is the condition prior to the action ever existing. It's already here. everything that you could ever dream of, everything that you could ever want, any desire that you could have is fulfilled in this moment. Happiness can only exist now. The pursuit of happiness is a lie that we tell ourselves. Okay, peace, love, harmony, all of that stuff can only be experienced in this moment, in the now. And then it has to be given up to be experienced in this moment, in the now, and in the now, and in the now. The minute we go into past, into mind, and the minute we project our past and our experience into the future, we feel like we've lost our peace. But we haven't. So, makes sense? The present moment is all we have. Time is a construct of the mind. It is only ever this moment. It is only ever now. You know, your birthday will arrive as now. Tomorrow will arrive as now. The future date that you've got planned will arrive as now. We project ourselves so far down that road that we lose this moment. This is the best moment you'll ever have in your life. This one right here in this succinct, very version of itself. And then this one. And just stay here. You know, it's the attainment of freedom. It's the attainment of liberation. Is just to be here and now. To be really here and now. To not resist it. We've said acceptance, gratitude, love, surrender, sangha. All of these things just to be here and now. And what you'll find is what you discover in the here and now when you're not projecting yourself into the future, that is bloody lovely. It's really nice. It's really nice just to stop for a moment. And it's the gift that you can give yourself is stop projecting yourself into every other moment. Just be. So yeah. Anyone want to share anything? Anyone got anything they want to share before I kick you out?
I'm not going to share about stopping.
Okay, yeah.
Because, if that's alright.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, thanks.
So last week, when we was here, we was talking about philosophy and talking about all the rabbit holes. Lewis is like me. We love to investigate, right?
Yeah.
We loved. Let's hope.
Yeah.
We loved, and I give him the invitation last week just to stop. Every time it comes up, just to stop. So that was, I was just giving him some context on what he was going to say. So,
yeah, I'm like a bit of an endless seeker. Like my mind's just seeking all the time. Anything to do with the nature of reality or truth or consciousness. Every YouTube video and book I can get my hands on, every podcast I want to understand it from every single point of view. And then it's like, it literally has dominated my life. Like I'm just on this endless search, and deep down from coming here and spending time with you over the years, I really recognise like the nature of my true self, if you like. But my mind wants that constant reminder, so I'm just looking all the time. I'm like, I'll go for a wee at work for 5 minutes, and I'll get my phone out, and I've got 2 minute break, and I'll just read 2 pages of a book on my phone like an absolute nutcase. I'm like, what are you doing? And it is just knackering, it just fries your head when you're just on it all day long. And then my wife will go for a wee in an advert break, we're watching Love Island, and she'll go to the toilet, and I'll just flick YouTube on and watch a video, and she's like, what are you doing watching?
Just got a break.
Yeah, honestly, like it just dominates my life, and it was almost like ruining my life. Like we'll be in a garden centre, and my daughter will be looking at the toys, and my mind's just thinking about evolution and everything, just mad stuff. And you said to me your advice or invitation was for me to stop, and I was scared of doing that because it's such a big part of me. It's like I felt like, I don't know, maybe a Catholic nun who lives in a monastery, like, or wherever, you know what I mean, like take your robes off and live in, and it was scary because that was like my comfort blanket, having that, like,
it's your identity.
You know, it is, yeah, like just a crazy seeker. But I thought I can't do this anymore, and what you said last week really resonated with me, so I thought I've got to give it a go. So I went home and just said, right, stop, and I've got to do it. And I've stuck to it to a T. And the last 6 days or 7 days since last Wednesday, my life's been like, my experience of life has been completely different because I haven't been doing that. I have had moments when I've like had to fight the urge, you know what I mean, it's just a habit sort of thing. But it's just made me like my experience of like the play of life being like richer and like louder, and even not all positive, like the stresses of work have just been amplified. Like I've been stressed out of my mind with work, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Whereas before I can separate, that's just you know, I mean, that's not, this is who I am, that's just work, and I can just let it like wash over me sometimes, but I have quite enjoyed being in that, and that, I think it's helped me be like more present with my daughter and play with my daughter and be a better dad, be a better husband. I feel, and I think the stress at work was only initially because I was going home, instead of lying awake at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking about the nature of reality and questioning everything, I was thinking I'd replaced it with the stresses of work, but over like the last 7 days it's slowed down a little bit, and I've like, I'm just enjoying, like, I'll go for a walk at lunchtime with my headphones in, listen to music instead of listening to some, and I'm like just enjoying stuff that I used to listen to, like just being, and I think it's making me be a much better version of myself.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, and it has done, so
I was hoping that in the invitation to stop, when we stop indulging in the mind, you're available.
Yeah.
You're available as a husband, as a dad. The times where you would feel like the need to distract yourself to find the ineffable is really in itself being lost, and it's just going to free up so much more space in your life to just be with what is actually there. And if that's stress at work, that's stress at work. If that's playing with your daughter in the garden, that's playing with your daughter, but you're really there.
Yeah.
You're really experiencing life for what it actually is, rather than trying to find a way out.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that you're trying that, and hopefully with that, the invitation to stop will not become a thing that you have to do. It will just be a recognition, oh, I'm not stopped at the moment, and then rest. Because I don't want it to become a monster of its own where you try and stop all the time. Well, that's the same with everyone. The stopping in itself is not something you have to do. Okay, let's really iterate on that fact. To stop isn't something that you have to do. Okay, our mind interprets it straight away as, right, I'm going to stop now, you know. But that's not stopping. To stop is to relax, to really stop, and the richness of life comes through. There's a lot more freedom when our mind's not tied up in things. You can actually find freedom in Love Island or whatever. You can be there though. It's like, it's just what your objective reality is, and it will create a good relationship. I'm happy you've taken that on, and I would consider just carrying on down that road, but in a really, really kind fashion. You know, the art of stopping is to just stop and then recognise when you're not. So thank you.
Thanks for that.
Stop
Thank
looking for
you.
what you're looking for, you find it.
Yeah. It's the diamond in our pocket. The story is in yoga, and there's a wonderful story, and I'm probably not going to articulate it well enough, but let's have a go. It's going to be our close. There's a diamond thief in India, and he's been outside of this diamond shop for all of his life, looking at this one huge diamond. And he finally sees a man go in there, and he buys this diamond, and he walks out and gets on the train, and the thief sees him get on the train, and he goes and he buys a ticket, and he gets on the train with him, and he finds him on the train, and he goes and sits in the car, and the man's in there, and he knows he's got the diamond, and the man lays down and goes to sleep, and the thief goes in his pockets and goes in his bag, and he's looking for all of his stuff, and he's getting frantic. He wants this diamond he's been waiting his whole life for. He's looking under the car, and this goes on for 8 hours, and he searches everywhere and he can't find it. And the man gets off the train, and the thief comes out and says to the man, he says, "Excuse me," he says, "I tried to steal the diamond that you brought in the shop," he said, "and I have looked absolutely everywhere for it." And he says, "And I just want you to tell me where you hid it." And he said, "I put it in your pocket." And the thief puts his hand in his own pocket and he pulls the diamond out. And it's the recognition of what we're looking for. We go looking for ourselves here, we go looking for ourselves there, we go looking in a book, and we go casting ourselves everywhere trying to find what is already here. And it's just the most outrageous thing that we're doing. We are all in the pursuit of something that we're yet to recognise we already have. And when we recognise it, it's so freeing. It's so freeing. My life has been monumentally changed by bliss and love since I recognised my own nature. And it's the only reason I sit here with you guys, and I think if I can get you to inquire into it, and then you can get your friends to inquire it. Because we're not in an age now like it used to be, a wonderful tradition to be taught teacher to student, mouth to mouth, and things like what Lewis would study, like Advaita Vedanta, non-dual philosophy, the deepest teachings of yoga, would be taught to someone as they ripen throughout their lifetime. Now you can go on your phone and you can find the most profound teaching in a yogic context, and you can find all the answers. And your mind is so underdeveloped to understand the nature of what the answer is that we try and interpret it, and they become a bigger hindrance to us than if we'd never had them in the first place. And that's why ripeness is a real thing, and that's why we burn our desires. That's why one of the things I said is to have a desire of freedom, but to have a desire of freedom, you've got to really have exhausted your efforts in all other aspects of your life. You've got to have tried in the things that you're still believing are going to make you happy and failed. And I would hope that most of you could trust in me enough to realise that you don't have to fail anymore, you can just give up, you know. But for those of you that are not there, then you can go out and you can carry on trying to find it, and you'll realise that at some point in your life you're just freaking exhausted from looking, and then the invitation to stop will sink deep, and it will sink into a place where you're like, oh, I give up. And it's in the giving up you recognise you always have it. You know, I'll say it one more time. The Buddhists say you open the door to enlightenment, you walk through it, you turn around and you realise there was never a door there in the first place. Yeah, that's the nature of ourselves. So, thank you all so much for coming. I hope you got something out of it, and yeah, let's share some more time next week.
Hi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
welcome, welcome.